Great.
Well, I know you guys have a lot of stuff to cram
We
in, so
do.
you guys are going to get started.
Yeah.
So,
We'll
So-
have people trickle
yeah,
in.
and so this, as Paul mentioned, this is being recorded. So, I know you want to, if you take notes or you don't get something, you can get the recording of all the slides that we have as well. So you'll be able to get that information. There's quite a few links and things like that, and things that we've used to help the process along. So a lot of those things will be in the slides as well. So, all right. So that way you don't have to worry about getting printouts or trying to write too much down that you can't pay attention. Right. So, anyway, yeah. So how to work with sellers. So Sarah put together a great slideshow. We've worked together on this, and I think there's the goal is to really help you be very confident when you're working with sellers, and so have the tools that you need to be able to be successful and service your sellers the best that you can. This covers everything like from start to finish, so it covers a lot of things. So there'll be things that you'll be able to go into more in depth in some of the links and so forth, and also on the Equity Elevate site. So just want to preface that so you know there's a lot of information we'll be covering, and we'll gear it towards you, of course, because where you're at in your listing experience, so that we can make sure you get the most out of this.
If we do kind of breeze over some things, it's because of time, especially like CMA and pricing it right. We're going to do a class all about that. So there's going to be a lot of touch points of this is where you go, this is what you're doing. We might not be able to dive fully into everything, but that's we're just doing the overview of helping you guys through. And then if you had a listing, get to those points and you're unsure, obviously the support line is where you would go for more info.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the CMA class will take a couple hours by itself, right? Just
Yeah.
to do that. So
yeah.
Let's get into it. So our goal is to certainly understand the complete listing process, know how to prepare a property for the market, learn how to launch and manage listings, and successfully guide sellers from contract to closing. So this will cover the gamut. The process, when you think about every seller you work with, there'll be really 7 steps to the process with every seller. Of course, you have the pre-listing preparation, getting the home ready for sale, and marketing prep, listing, launch, managing, under contract, and closing prep. So you've got really the same thing you'll do for every seller. Now, it can vary based on where the seller's at, right? Sometimes there'll be more listing prep that needs to be done. And sometimes they don't want to do anything, right? So you just have to price it accordingly. But having a system and having everything ready, I think, is what this will help you do.
So pre-listing meeting and prep. So this is if you can have a conversation over the phone with somebody beforehand, ask some questions, get a little bit more info before you're actually out at the property, that's great. That gives you a little bit of help with your CMA and pulling comps and your presentation when you go there. And so we just listed out some questions. Why are you thinking about selling? What's your ideal time frame? Where are you planning to go? Pricing. I always like asking if they have a price in mind, just because if you get there and you're like, I think we should list here, and their face goes, your whole presentation just went out the window. So it's good to have that, okay, I have to convince them or talk to them about why I'm pricing it a certain way. What's most important to them, improvements that they've made, concerns with the home. Remind them that any concerns or issues you tell me, I do have to disclose. Not that you don't want them to tell you things, but just keep that open mind and it gives them a chance to know that everything is going to be disclosed. There's nothing that we can keep secret, things like that. So it just starts your open relationship, gives them a good feel of like, oh, I have to start thinking about all the things that I need to tell the prospective buyers. Have you sold a home before? Is everyone involved here? Which is a big deal. Obviously, we deal with divorces. We deal with kids and parents, all those kinds of things. So we'll go into how to make sure that those people are there and who's on title, but those are some questions to start with.
Another question that I like to ask people, and some I know well because I've helped them when they bought the house and I've been in touch with them a lot. Others you may not know as well. So, you can't assume anything, but ask them some questions like, what have they liked most about living in their home? What do they most like about the home? This will help you in your narrative for the home. And what do they most like about the area? What are their favorite things about the area that they live in? So finding out those things, I think, can give you some good narrative on what's going to help drive the sale. Also, what would they want to change about the home? What improvements would they want to make? Because that'll tell you, well, we were going to remodel the kitchen and it's so old and small, we never got around to it. That'll tell you something about it, right? Or whatever the case may be. We wanted to, we've been wanting to replace the carpet for years, and so it tells you, well, probably it's going to need new carpet, right? So those are some questions you can ask on the phone, or when you can ask, of course, some of those things in person as well. But,
can I ask a quick question?
Yeah.
So you say, what price are you looking for? They go $750. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Well, what's the best way to just keep it moving? That way you can have that conversation later. Because I'm sure that happens. People will, because that's on their head. Well, is that what you think?
Mm-hmm.
Or how do you keep that from showing your hand too early?
I mean, if it's the conversation beforehand, before you pulled comps, you have no idea what the pricing is, it would be, I need to do my research. I just wanted to have this preliminary conversation with you so I know a few things about the house, where you're coming from, timing, so I can prep well. When I get to the home, we'll discuss that further. If you're at the house, my thing is, well, let's review some comps and I'll show you where my pricing is at.
Okay. So you go ahead and address it.
Yeah.
Do you give a number or do you give a range?
I usually give a range because before I see the house, I don't know for sure. Like, basing off comps, you're like, okay, well, I could price from $720 to $750, but you go in there, it smells and it's disastrous, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna leave this way. So giving a range protects you. And I tell people, like, when I come, I'm gonna have a range for you. When we actually go on the market, we'll figure out that exact number because timing could be completely different.
I do the same. I give them a range, and then I say these are the price points that make the most sense. But this could change based on what your competition is when it's time to go on the market, because it fluctuates based on what the most recent sales have been and what the active competition you're against. Because we don't want to sell somebody else's house for them by pricing outside of the market range. Right? So, yeah.
So I've been kind of, these listing appointments, they've been tough for me, I think. But so this is good information. But anyway, the last listing that I've had is my Virginia Village home that I've got right now. But I just thought, they all want to see the bottom line. They all want to know what they're going to get, and you don't want to price the house, yet because you haven't seen it, and the pricing thing really is an issue. And so especially in these days, they're still thinking 2022 prices.
Right.
They're all and they haven't done a thing to their house, right? So I went in, and this kind of worked really well. I just went in and I took the medium number that it said on the it said in realist tax.
Mm-hmm.
I just took that. I took all those numbers, and when I went in, I said, I know you want to see the bottom line, and I know you want to know what it's like seeing your home, what you're going to get back. And I said, I didn't know how to price your home yet, especially Virginia Village, because you really have to see those houses. There's $1 million home here, and there's a $200,000 home next door, and you just don't know, right? So I just said, I just took the median price that is in here in the text. I said, but this isn't the price we're going to price it at necessarily. I needed to see it, I needed to talk to you, needed to figure this out, but I just took that price and what I know, and she was really happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
So, of knowing, so that she could at least
see that.
That's exactly right. Because
The computer?
Sorry. Good.
no, you're fine. You're fine there. That's exactly right, because you don't know until you see it,
right,
and what improvements are going want to make,
right,
or if it's trashed or
right.
or, what needs to be done. So that's good. Yeah, and a lot of times I'll do something similar. I'll look at the realist numbers. I'll look at RPR. I'll look at Zillow. That's another slide here we'll talk about. I'll look at the automated valuations, so we know what the seller's thinking about, because they're probably looking up those numbers too.
Right.
And they'll get emails from Zillow about your home's worth this, right?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Like Zillow said.
So
Right.
did you do a net sheet then? You gave her a net sheet, or?
Yeah, I did a seller's net sheet right
Okay.
as part of the package and just said, this may or may not be the price that we're going to put it in. I just figured you wanted to see at least a guesstimate on your bottom number.
The way I've gotten out of net sheets is I have a cost to sell sheet. So I don't include the sales price. I just have, obviously I have a line for their mortgage. I have a line for like their other loan. I have a line for my commission, the buyer's agent commission with this is negotiable, tax, title, title and
Insurance.
HOA,
Prorations.
and
Tax-
water.
tax
Yeah.
portions,
So I've just kind of come up with, okay, these are going to be the set thing. These are your fees, I guess. Then when I'm sitting there with them, I say, if we're kind of around the same number, I know their loan amount because they've said that. Then I do the math right in front of them and just have it. I just write it on their little sheet.
So you kind of
So-
took a blank sheet.
So I've done the cost to sell basically. So that's my sheet. I have it all filled out on there.
share that?
Yeah, I can share that. But that's how I've gotten out of doing like an actual net sheet when I don't know what I'm going to price it at.
Yeah, and I have one kind of similar, and I do a range. It's a spreadsheet with 2 columns. And this is the range, the high range potentially, and the low range, and they can calculate whatever they want in there. Right? So kind of similar.
Can I break it for just 1 second? Because one of the things is, when do we do agency disclosure if we're talking pricing?
With the seller agency, when working with the seller, okay, this is working with a seller that's contacted you to sell their house. So that really goes into your listing presentation with, this is how a seller's agent, I would be representing you as a seller's agent, and the buyer may or may not have a buyer's agent. If they have a buyer's agent, they would represent as a buyer's agent, or they could be a customer, right? So that goes later on, really. I don't think you need to get into that too much right away, right off the bat, because it'll be kind of throw it into, I don't know, they're interested more what the house is going to sell for and what they need to do to get their house ready at that point.
So it's not required at that first.
No, if you're working with a buyer, when you're the listing broker, if a buyer approaches you and you meet a buyer at the house that's unrepresented, then you do have to give them the broker's disclosure to buyer form to let them know that you're a seller's agent in that case. So,
Thanks.
here's an example. One of the easiest systems for, where'd it go? All right. It was working earlier. There we go. So one of the easiest CMA programs to use is in RE Colorado. It allows you to make adjustments if you want to make adjustments for condition, for pricing, for square footage, all those things. And we won't get into quite like we mentioned. We'll do a separate CMA class to get into the specifics on that. But this is one where you can pull the comps from the MLS. You can give them a range. It gives them a nice summary of the recent sales. And you can put active listings in here if you want. You can put pending listings, and it gives them a nice, map. Is it the fanciest presentation? Far from it. but there's other programs that you can get that'll give you a fancier, but it's very effective, I think.
Yeah, which one is that?
This is in RE Colorado, in Matrix CMA report.
When you have your comps pulled, and if you highlight all of them, there's a option at the bottom to do a CMA.
Yeah.
And then it goes
you just
into
click them and you do that.
Yeah.
I don't even. How have I been surviving in 6 years? And I don't. I
Full
just pull the
disclosure.
ones and take the one separately.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Full
that's-
disclosure,
yeah.
I just bring comps. I don't do a CMA.
Yeah.
I bring my comps. I explain to them why this comp is
I do too.
close, and
I'll say I looked at this. This is an update here, and I
But
highlight.
in Ori, Colorado, there's a link at the bottom of the comps. That
Yeah, it's
says
just
CMA.
when you're in the screen where you do a search, you can select the listings you want, and on the bottom there's a tab for CMA,
Okay.
and then you can then it'll collect those properties. You can enter the subject property information. If the subject property was previously listed, you can pull that in from the MLS number. So it's really simple.
It is.
Yeah,
It walks you through, like once you do your comps, highlight all of them, click that CMA, then it kind of starts you through the process.
So wait a minute, so this is, I always click quick
You don't know what you don't
CMA,
know.
but this is if you click the other CMA.
Yeah,
tab.
Quick CMA just gives you a summary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
I've never done that.
Yeah, and there's videos in RE Colorado. You can link on those, and I think we have some links to all those things in this slide presentation. as well.
I'm just so bad with webinars and links to watch all that stuff. I just
You just gotta do
I
it.
just don't do it.
So I normally use RPR,
Yeah, RPR is great too.
and
Yeah.
so far RPR has been pretty good,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah,
But lately I've been using it, and I'm finding that it's
the accuracy.
far off.
Right, because
Yes.
it's
Every
And
time
it's
I've
either
done it,
because
it's been
it's
far
using
off.
Yeah.
the price per square foot, and it's throwing off my range
yeah.
numbers.
You can't use the price per square foot because it doesn't incorporate basement sometimes. and-
Right. Well, and that's
Yeah.
this is a ranch,
Mhm.
and so, but then you can't select it to not use price per square foot. So then you have to do the advanced CMA.
Mhm.
But then if you do the advanced CMA, when you go to compare the comps, you can't use the subject is better or worse than the comp. You have to assign it a percentage
Mhm.
of
Right.
the total
Right.
of the comps.
And so
Where
it comes out all
to me,
wacky.
I'm like, well, I don't know. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out like this one's 25% of the comps. Like, how do you come up with that percentage?
Yeah, and I find RPR is really good for all the data that it has.
Right.
And sometimes for the comps, and sometimes providing an automated value if it's in range, right?
Right.
But the CMAs are a little cumbersome.
Yeah.
To try to do a CMA, it's a lot easier in RE Colorado. But I think there's some good information in there.
Yeah.
All the data from the market data, for the zip code, and all that you can put in there. It makes for a nice for someone who wants to see a fancy report. You can give them whatever they want, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it's but I agree with you. It's definitely CMAs can be a little tricky.
It's a little tricky, and the homes that RPR puts in the RVM, you can't deselect any of those. So if they if they select a comp for you, you can't unselect that comp that's going to go into the price range that they're going to suggest as the
Right.
value of the home.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so a lot of times I have to hide the RVM range that they suggest
Right.
because I'm like, if my seller sees this, they're either gonna freak out,
Right.
or they're gonna think
One
your
or the
home is
other.
worth way
Exactly.
more.
Yeah. And that's where you have to use your discretion on any reports, especially that are coming from an automated source, right?
Right.
And it's just you've got to select the right comps too.
Yeah. Do you ever use Cloud CMA or?
I do actually use Cloud CMA.
You do? Do you
Yeah.
like that one?
I do like it. It gives you a nice presentation. It allows you to customize. You can make adjustments on it. It also allows you to send a live link that will update. And so with sellers, especially when they're thinking 6 months from now I'm going to sell my house, right?
Right.
I'll get them started. They kind of want to know what the general market's like. I'll do that and do a general report. And then you can also, there's a lot of customization you can do with that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a neat program, but of course it's an add-on, cost. So we didn't include that in this presentation, but Cloud CMA is easy to link to RE Colorado as well. You can click on the Cloud CMA button and it'll import the listings right into Cloud CMA. And it's nice. I like it. Yeah, it's a nice presentation, I think.
Do you always give a CMA report to your sellers, or do you verbally say, "I've done my comp analysis. This is"?
I don't ever get one.
I give them a report. Sometimes it's it depends where they're at in the process. I think when we're close to going on the market, I give them my estimated range of value, and then based on these price points, and I also do a little more data research in showing time in terms of what the showings have been at different price points as well, so they can see that. and we'll show you that for some follow-up things. But yeah, I do give them some type of CMA. It could be a general CMA with just the comps listed, or it could be more specific with pricing recommendations, depending on the property.
That kind of, we don't spend a whole lot of time on that, but that was the things you can add to a cost to sell on that net sheet, and just add those in there so they have them.
O&E report, that's important as we sometimes run into situations that, making sure the proper people that are on title are signing the form, making sure there's not any weird encumbrance like a tax lien or something like that the seller fails to tell you about.
Please do not skip. I skipped this for a number of years because people would say, like, oh, you should pull an O&E. Whatever, I need to get this done. Do not skip this, because if your seller gets to closing and there's like a $20,000 tax lien that they didn't know about, they're under contract. What are you going to do? And they don't have those proceeds to pay off that tax lien or something. These are things that you have to know. Plus, are you selling the home for just them? Are you selling for them and their divorced spouse? If you're only talking to the one person and then they pull title and there's this random person there, this would have been on your O&E. So it's a huge, most of the time you're going to get it. It's going to all look clean and you're going to know the people. But it's just those one-offs that it will help you stay out of trouble. So
I never do that, so I should probably start doing that.
Yeah, it's real easy to do. The title companies, they usually charge us $5. Whoever you use as a closer, they've got usually a link on their website for it. So it's pretty simple to do. And
land title, you can go in through CTM. And your CTM on the right side, there's O&E is like the second thing when you're in your listing. You click that, and land title links right to CTM. You order it, and it's done.
At what point do you do that?
Before you list the house, so you find out, make sure you've got, before you even do your listing agreement, make sure you've got all the proper things.
Yeah.
Maybe you take that to you with your presentation if there's liens on it.
Yeah, I would, and just show them like, hey, this is what.
Keep in mind that
about this. Yeah.
that'll show the original deed of trust for the mortgage. So they may have paid that mortgage down to $200,000, and the deed of trust was for $600,000, right? So that'll still show as $600,000. And so you'll want to get their approximate payoff balances and things like that, so you can give them an accurate number of approximately where they're gonna end up at.
Probably nice to take your laptop with you. Yeah, so you can do that.
Sometimes. So let me go back to this other one real quick here. So listing presentation. I wanted to show you what's available on the equity site. On the Marketing Center, there's a really, really robust tool, and it ties into Breakthrough Broker, so you can do whatever kind of listing presentation. It's really gotten much, much better over the last year or so. They've really amped it up. There's, luxury type presentation. There's, let me go, that's not where I want to be.
So it's like, would you say Breakthrough Broker?
Yeah, if you go to,
you just go into the Marketing Center.
Go
it's
the Marketing
just
Center.
tied to Breakthrough Broker.
It's tied to Breakthrough
Okay,
Broker.
I didn't know it was tied to that.
Yeah, it's tied to Breakthrough Broker. So if we go to the Equity
I
Marketing
used
Center,
that for a while.
just want to show you this real quick so you can see it's pretty simple to do. You can, I was already there. I didn't have to. So basically there's flyers, brochures you can do for your listings. You can do multi-page brochures. You can do listing presentations. You can do buyer presentations. Really everything you want, you've got available on there. So newsletters, we've got
I do have to comment the flyers section. I've done 2 of them now for my 2 that little flyer thing is so cool.
it is easy.
So
isn't it?
slick. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's like you just pull everything off the MLS, you just put it, I print it off on cardstock, I have them on the counter, or you can and then what's nice, you save it as a download, and when somebody says, so about this, you send that along with, I actually send it along with the MLS, because the MLS gives the room sizes and all that junk, but
Right.
it is a really slick little flyer.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. I love
Good.
it.
Yeah,
Good
yeah.
plugs.
Yeah.
So there's several different presentation options. You just customize it to what works for you, and it's just really, I mean, whatever you wanted to do. I mean, you can do a presentation you would do on an iPad. You can do a printed presentation. You can do both. So you've got a lot of options there.
And which do you prefer? Do you prefer to use a computer kind of presentation or a hard copy or?
I have a hard copy with me, and I bring my iPad. I have it in a PDF format, so I can go through it on the iPad. But I do print a hard copy and bring that with me on my listing appointments.
And you do
Just so we go with whatever their preference.
I actually use Buffini's certified professional, full service professional one that they had with that class that they did. I really like that one, and I print it. I have my laptop with me because, like I said, I don't do a CMA, so I pull up my comps with pictures, and I'm showing them the pictures and stuff, so I don't have to print the 50 pages of pictures. But I print my.
I need to get a
I just created a new listing presentation and a new buyer's presentation.
Nice.
And so I just started doing something new where I deliver the presentation to the client or potential clients like 2 days before our appointment. And then I let them review it all.
Hard copy or
hard
email?
copy. Hard copy. I deliver a hard copy to them 2 days before our appointment, let them and tell them, go ahead and review it all. And that way, when it's time for our appointment, they already have a list of questions in their mind. They already know what they want to talk about, so that I'm not sitting there going page by page, like going through
That's a good idea.
everything in my
It's a really good
presentation.
idea. Yeah.
So it saves a lot of time. And then they already are prepped with, okay,
Right.
here's what I'd like to know. And they actually really like that.
I like
they
the-
feel like they're prepared.
Right. I like
Nice.
printing it and delivering it. I usually email it,
Oh, yeah.
but I like printing and delivering because they've got it right
They
there.
have a hard copy,
Yeah.
yeah, and they can both look at it, or, but they like being prepared.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah,
I like
it's
that.
it's going over well. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's good.
So-
Nice.
So this presentation has some nice slides in it. There's some also questions for the seller in these presentations too, which are kind of neat. And if you were to deliver to them, it has questions they need to think about. What's so special about my home, things like that.
Right.
And what I love about the area. A lot of different questions that are in some of these, and it also talks about what to expect at our appointment. Right. This is
Yeah.
what to expect: establishing a price, preparing your home, listing it for sale, showings, offers. And negotiation, all the steps to the process. So it's kind of a neat,
And it's all editable.
all editable.
So
Is that
if you
from
don't-
the equity
Yeah.
side?
Yeah, that's on the marketing site.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. It's editable.
Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you don't like a page or you don't like what it says or you want to add something to what you're doing, then
Or we could take the
just
question
edit it.
mark off.
Yeah, about your own, why you want to sell. That's
I don't know about that.
A lot of good
But
That
questions
looks
there. So,
busy.
let's go back. But yeah, I think I would explore those tools and just find a system that works, one that works for you, customize it, and you can always adapt and change it as you need to because it's print as many as you need or customize it and print it for each particular client. So one of the, prior to arrival, make sure you get familiar with the area. I like to preview listings in the area that you're competing against before I meet with the seller, just so you have a feel of what they're up against and you can have firsthand knowledge of that. If there's pendings, maybe you can drive by them. Sometimes the agents will let you see them if they're pendings. For the last few years, now we're in a little bit different situation, but if there's not a lot of active inventory, it's hard to do that. So maybe driving by the recently closed properties as well, so you can see, what's the location really like? Did they hide those power lines in the photos, right? Things like, is that way it's sold for so less, right? So much less than the others. So things like that. Chances are your seller knows about them, right? So you want to be well educated and be prepared, and that helps you in pricing the property.
yeah, there's been a lot of statements at listing and appointments like, did you see that one that's down the street and it has this in the backyard? And yes, I did. And then you want to make sure that you have done your research. So yeah,
Do you ever take your
Never
clients with you
Yeah,
to those?
I've done that.
I do that.
Active listings, preview active listings with them. So they say, wow, this one's really staged well. It's really, it's like, wow, they did a lot to get this one ready.
It helps.
Other ones that smell, Yeah, like,
Yeah.
like
It helps.
was it the one you showed that smelled like a bachelor lived there and
Oh yes,
smelled like a
the one
sneaky
I'm
bee or something?
competing with smells like a bachelor pad.
Yeah.
I just did that last week because I have a seller who's extremely attached to the home and
Mhm.
thinks
Yeah.
that it's worth a lot more than what it is.
Right.
So I invited her to go preview homes with me.
Great.
And so that's what we did, and we went and previewed homes. And there was one, like the home that looked the best
Uh-huh.
was the smelly home,
Oh,
and it was like the cat smell. But then
Oh.
they put the deodorizer
Oh,
in the
yeah.
house, like
Yeah.
so much
Oh.
deodorizer that was giving us a headache. you
Right.
know?
Oh, that's
Yeah.
Cat smell and locker room smell.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, it's important. It really, they can see firsthand, right?
But
So-
she still thought her home was better.
Of course. They always, most of the time they do, right?
And one of our agents suggested, I think it was at our last meeting, to when you have sellers like that, to actually like not even do the listing appointment. Like you can tour their home, but then like have your preview set up right afterwards, and actually just spend the time doing it at a different house and talking about pricing and obviously picking one that you like either is similar or you want to show a price difference.
Mhm.
But she was like, I feel like it's really psychological. You're just getting them out of their comfort zone, talking about things, so it's kind of like subjective to them and not their home. So I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. I've never done that, but
And some people meet people at the office for their listing appointments. And I go to their house because I want to see the house and walk through it with them. But I see the benefit in that if they're away from their normal surroundings. Plus, it makes them committed to meeting with you here. And then they do that as a two-step. They meet with them first at the office, show them information on the screen, and then go to do the walkthrough of the home on a second meeting. But yeah, interesting. No, different ways to accomplish those things. Other thing in preparation, when you're walking through the house, tour the house, and I don't believe in blowing smoke and saying things that aren't true about the house. If you don't compliment something that's really not a compliment, but you don't have to be, terrible, right? But just be real with them, and usually when the first time I see somebody's homes, because I've worked with these people for so long, the house is nothing like it's going to be when you're getting ready to sell it. It's a mess. The kids' stuff is everywhere. I mean, and they say, well, sorry, we didn't have time to clean up or something, and most of the time people are going to want you to walk through to see and get advice on what they should do to the house to get it right. So a lot of times it's nowhere near, I'd say I count on one hand the number of times that the house has been just right when I saw it for the first time. So keep that in mind, and they're going to look to you for advice. Something I do many times is I'll bring a stager in to kind of be the one to be the good cop, bad cop kind of thing, so they can tell them, really you need to take all these pictures of your family down that have been here for 30 years. I mean, they're beautiful. You have a beautiful family, but the buyers need to picture themselves in the home, and that's real important stuff. And having a stager come in that can help with that as a third party sometimes helps. Depends on the seller. Some are realistic about it. They know they need to declutter and get everything done, but others need a little prodding.
So I have a question about stagers.
Mhm.
Who pays for the staging?
It depends on your marketing plan. Myself, I typically have the seller pay for it. Some agents include it in their listing fee. Okay, now it's a pretty big expense in their listing fee, but you can certainly weigh the decision on that and see what makes the most sense for you. What do you do in that situation?
So I've not ever put it in my listing agreement. I've staged very few homes, honestly. So, but I have advised agents to put it in their listing agreement that if it does go off the market that you owe me, this is part of the fees. But at the same time, I remind them that if the seller chooses not to pay you after it goes off the market, there's not a whole lot you can do. So I really like Greg's thought of it is the seller needs to pay for those costs. And, unfortunately, this is just a marketing cost that I I don't want to take on if something would not work out with the house.
And-
So
and,
how do you phrase that, Drake? Like when you're talking to them about.
I just give them the option. I mean, this is the statistics show that a home that's staged properly, that the buyer can see themselves. And I also ask them if they've ever been to a new home development. They've ever been to a model home. And they just go all out in making that house look beautiful. Nothing you buy in the home that you get has what that house has in it. But they want to make sure that it smells good. They want to make sure that the line of sight is good, that people feel really comfortable. They could see themselves in that home. And that's what a stager does. They have a beautiful eye. They can look at a house. They can decide what kind of furniture should fit there the best. And when we're in our own house, we don't see those things. We don't notice the smells of our house because we're in it all the time. We don't notice the furniture that's out of place because that ratty old recliner has been in the corner for years and years, and it's really comfortable, right? And I think helping to kind of step aside and have to look at it through the buyer's eyes and the market's eyes. Right? So if they want to maximize their price, they need to stage it, make it look the best they can. It's up to them. It's their house. So ultimately, it's their choice. But this is where you can maximize the value if you do these things.
So what I was doing is I got an agreement with a stager that $200 for a staging fee that I didn't get. So I said that I include a staging consult.
Right.
But they don't know that I don't have to pay for it if they actually stage.
Right, I
They
do the
pay
same.
it.
I do the same. Yeah, with the
So-
stager. Yeah, I do the same thing. They'll do a consultation. If they don't stage, it's like $150. If
Yeah.
they do stage, it's included in the price.
So the
Do you have
client
one
pays for it.
particular company that you use for staging?
I've got a few that I use.
A few,
and,
okay.
Yeah, I've got a few.
Depending
that
on the area or the size of the home?
Yeah,
or how
depending
do
on their
you-
availability.
Okay.
It seems, I think, a lot of stagers, they seem to travel on vacation a lot. So,
Well, they got that monthly fee coming in.
right. So, and it depends on their availability and also what they have in their warehouse. Because most of them use a warehouse for their staging supplies.
Okay.
I have one that they actually have their own furniture, and so I've got a few that I use. So I think I can put those. We can add those to the notes. And
That'd be wonderful.
Yeah,
And then that way
yeah.
we can reach
Sure.
out.
You bet.
Okay.
I've been playing around with that too, like who should pay for it. And so I've had it where I've had clients pay for it, and then I've had it sometimes where I've split the cost with the sellers, and I put a limit, like 30 days or 60 days or whatever it is. But then I do know of agents that they pay for it, and I have noticed that I've come up against those agents when they're interviewing multiple realtors that some will pay for it. and some won't.
It's getting
Right.
brutal out
Yeah,
there, isn't
and then
it right
it's like,
now?
is this now something else I have to do
Yeah,
to like win this listing?
that's a good point you bring up because I have seen some companies out there that actually finance that for agents, and they'll finance the staging for agents and for sellers. And depending on their credit, they charge a certain amount at closing or.
Who finances it?
I can't remember the company. I'm to look it up, but I remember seeing an email come across my desk that they actually finance it, and this staging company that is affiliated with it. So the staging company will do it, and so they'll finance the seller and the agent, or the agent, or both. Yeah. So
Yeah.
something to think about too.
How's the consulting fee work? Explain that one.
I do a separate appointment if and come back with the stager later. But
Yes.
I made a deal with one of them, and of course I fired her. She was just hard to get along with. But anyway, so I just said, hey, would you be okay with a staging consulting fee? Me pay you, and then if you actually get the staging job, then I don't pay the fee. It just
I
kind
see.
of goes in
Oh,
the
okay.
monthly
I see.
amount.
And sometimes the staging, they don't need a lot of furniture. They just need someone to advise them to get rid of stuff, declutter, and take some pictures down, put some other pictures up, decorations, that type of thing. So that doesn't have to be a really high cost. A full staging when they're doing typically they'll do the living room, the dining room, an office and a primary bedroom and
Yeah,
the
how much
bathrooms.
is that?
Typically, I've seen them anywhere from like $2,500 to $3,500.
Yeah,
is
it's
what I've been seeing.
ridiculous.
If it's full furnished.
Well, there's initial staging fee that's like
For 3 months or
$600, $800, and then the monthly is about
If it's an empty
$2,000.
house, if you want the whole thing
yeah.
staged.
And then for most sellers, they'll 30 days and they're out, or they'll do one extension and then they're out. So at that point, it's a vacant house.
A lot of times, too, most stagers will only stage vacant homes too. So if they're still living there, but you still need it staged, then you gotta find specific stagers that will stage a
Correct.
home with it occupied,
Right.
which is tricky.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like it's a case by case scenario
Mhm.
because sometimes it's like sellers, they don't really have a lot of costs,
Mhm.
so it's like just the staging might be their cost. But then sometimes I have sellers where they're putting in new carpet, painting, like they're doing a lot, they're putting a lot of money into it to get it ready to list. So then
Right.
if I suggest staging on top of that, they like, have
Have
a little trouble
everything
breathing.
back.
And then it's
Yeah.
like, okay, uh-oh.
So I had a recent listing where the house had been, they had 3 small kids and they knew it needed new carpet. The paint hadn't been changed in 15 years. Needed painting and needed lighting, some updating to the fixtures. So I brought the stager in right away. And she advised on the paint color of the carpet, the light fixtures, did all that she charged a fee for finding all those items, but she found really affordable lighting. She found, a great deal on the carpet. She found a great deal on some quartz countertops. So it was well worth the money and the seller didn't have to worry about trying to go shopping for all those things himself.
Okay.
Just whatever the stager advised, he could order them online or what have you, right? So that's something. If a house needs a lot of work and the seller is willing to put the money into it to try to maximize the value, bring a designer stager in early, and they can charge a consulting fee and help take care of all of that for you. So that's just and their staging fee was on top of that. So
And they paid it.
they paid it, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So.
I know. I would
yeah.
like to have it just where the sellers always pay it. That's
Right,
what I would like
right,
to, then I
right.
feel like I get into these other, I don't know,
Well, it all-
situations.
This other agent does
Right.
this.
right. And it's like, oh.
It all depends.
It's hard.
One thing we want to show you, we won't get into a lot of details on it, but there's some dialogues on Elevate where you can see what it's a little slow today, isn't it? There it is. So there's a lot of how-tos in Elevate. I don't know if you've checked out some of the different sections, but this is some good material if you're getting objections on compensation, on buyer agent compensation, and how that's negotiated and everything. So there's some good things on this site about how you can respond to that. And for me, I don't know about anyone else that's dealt with a seller lately, it usually comes up, and I usually bring it up and ask them, are you familiar with some of the changes in the industry if they don't bring it up first? And they'll ask about why I don't have to pay the buyer agent. And I let them know it's negotiable. It's always been negotiable, but it used to be advertised in the MLS, but now it's not advertised in the MLS. It's a bit more transparent now because it's on the contract. So it's negotiable purchase contract. What I've been seeing lately are most contracts come in with the agent asking for the seller to pay buyer agent compensation. I haven't seen any that, I've seen some where the buyers paid part of it. The buyers paid part of the buyer's agent compensation, and the sellers paid part of it. So it is all negotiable, and that kind of answers that question for them. So have you guys had any experience with that lately?
Well, I find what's interesting is 9 times out of 10 that they'll tell you, oh, there's that new law. And I said, no, not a law.
Yeah.
So you clarify that a little bit. But then I thought that was interesting in our contracts, if I understand it right.
Mm-hmm.
We only put our fee in the contract, right? That's what Paul advised me.
There's an option. That's what I like to do because certainly, and I mentioned to them, it's negotiable per the contract.
Right.
If they want to advertise a buyer broker compensation, then I say, well, we can put this in here and we can advertise this amount. Like if they want to pay a 4% buyer agent compensation, we want to advertise that, then that should go into that buyer agent compensation and then added to the total with your compensation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's about the only time I put it in there.
Okay.
You can do it either way, but just in that section, you want to either strike through where it says the buyer agent's going to come off of this percentage, and that's where the contract support line helps with that. We can walk you through that. But there are a few different ways to fill out that section, 7.1.3 or something.
7.1.1.
Yeah, 1.3.5. Yeah.
And the one thing I always do when I'm having this conversation, because it is good to have this, we all always should have gone into more detail. We just never did.
Sure.
But I always tell them, that this is, it's all negotiable. And then I always put it right up front that I have a strong standing policy that I will never make less than the buyer's agent, or like if I'm on the sell side and stuff, so that I just try to diffuse it right from the get-go. No, if we're going to negotiate on the other side, that's fine, but we're not, And it's kind of interesting because that's just kind of worked. I kind of have my commission right up front, and they know that this is my bottom line, and then we'll look at the other side. And but it's interesting because they always think it's a law, and it's not.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of confusion about a lot of that stuff. So go back to her.
What I'm curious what you're seeing on the when you get the contracts.
Mhm.
What are you seeing that the buyers are asking for generally?
It varies depending on the price point of the property, and anywhere from really 2.5 to 3. That's kind of like normal. I mean, or not normal. Sorry, not normal, but like traditionally what we have.
Choose your words.
Because it's a
carefully.
buyer's
Yes.
market still. But
Right.
I just wonder what's going to happen when it's a seller's market.
Well, I mean, you look at what the builders do, right? When they had no inventory, things were flying off the shelves, they were paying 1%, right, to buyer agents, right? Well, now they want you to come and they'll pay you 3%, right? So it just really, it depends on the market. And, obviously right now for sellers, it is, in most areas, it's more of a buyer's market. Depends on and I also tell or advise sellers, it really depends on the offer. You can always turn down an offer that isn't acceptable, okay? And it depends on the offer. If they're lowballing you and they want a high buyer agent compensation, well, maybe that's negotiable with that particular buyer, right? So, everything's negotiable, right? It all depends on the bottom line. You got hired. What do you know? All right.
I have a buyer right now that he just goes in and he just upfront pays my, put several offers in, pays my my buyer's agent's fee
Nice.
Wow.
as part of the negotiation. But he's like, I get to write it off at taxes at the end of when I do that. So why wouldn't that be better for me?
Well, that's interesting.
To
That's a
negotiate it, yeah.
That's
He's like,
great for
I
you.
got the money and I get to write it off, and we can lower the price of the house as part of the negotiation. So I was
That's
kind
an
of
interesting
thinking,
concept.
yeah,
I haven't really thought about that, actually. I mean, the seller always gets it because they offer their gain, right?
right.
But interesting. That's a good point. Good thing to bring up. Paperwork. Does everyone know where to find paperwork examples in Elevate, and if you need those things? Okay. There's really some great tools.
Well, I don't.
Yeah. So if you go to Elevate, and let's go there.
So I don't ever look at all the tools. You need to do that.
And every form that you would probably ever need in a transaction is on Elevate, filled out like the way that, I don't know if you should fill it out, but with the example of how to fill it out.
dumb question, but you know how it says on Elevate that all the, like when we go on the listing, that it's all supposed to be sent to the company within 24 hours after we go active on the MLS?
Mm-hmm.
Is it that way with every company? Is that really the law? I mean, is that really the way it's supposed to be? At my previous company, that was not how it was played. That's what I'm just curious about. But that really is the way it's supposed to be?
Yeah.
Because your brokerage owns the listing.
Right.
So they should, I would
And my
assume,
previous
want
employer
it.
did not do that. I find that amazing, actually.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's all good.
No, and it's part of why equity can keep our fees low, is because they want to have a good system that everything is in order. And if it's not in order, if you haven't done the right process up front, then how are you going to catch that later? And it could be detriment for you as well and the seller if they don't have all their forms filled out when they need to, right? Or if there's no signed listing agreement. I think there was an agent that that actually, thanks.
You're welcome.
There was an agent that contacted the support line that there was a property that was coming soon, but there wasn't a listing agreement in CTM signed by the listing broker. Our agent was representing the buyer, so they couldn't link to it because it wasn't signed yet, and he already had put it in the MLS. So, so that particular agent, so kind of interesting situation. So that's part of the reason, just to be in compliance, to make sure everyone's got their I's crossed and their T's dotted, right? So,
Is Elevate
Yeah.
connected to CTM in your company here? Is it connected? So
Yeah,
that if
yeah,
you
all of
put
our
it in
forms-
Elevate, it goes right into the CTM?
No,
Or is that two different,
two different things. Elevate is
your own equity?
our own equity site,
system?
but all of our forms that we use for equity, our checklists, any special forms are available in CTM. So it's really easy for the contract forms to.
So as an agent, would you always be in Elevate first and then put it into CTM? Or could you be in CTM and then CTM will send it to Elevate?
CTM doesn't send it to Elevate. CTM, you can, and it's not required because when you submit your documents to Equity for Compliance, you can just do a print PDF from CTM and email those forms. Okay.
Okay, so
Or you can use
start in CTM and
Yeah.
then it just goes into
Yeah.
Elevate.
Yeah.
Okay.
You just email it to the compliance team and then they look at it. So it's real simple. Elevate is more. I don't know why it's so slow. It was fine.
I don't know, and it's
weird.
now not.
Why is
And
it-
do you guys
letting
use
authorize
CTM
either.
still? Do you use
I
CTM?
use CTM. Yeah, there's some agents.
Instead of that new Resure.
Resure. There's a couple agents using Resure, but which looks fine. And I have everything in CTM, so it's hard to change. So, they're all-
Do you have to log back in or something? Because it keeps
You were just showing us how to get to.
the how-to.
The how-tos,
How-tos,
yeah.
I
Let
think
me
you're
go
there.
back into Elevate here. So.
Every time we click the how-tos, it says we're not authorized. They fired us.
The class
Yeah,
isn't
they're gonna let you know
class isn't
tomorrow.
good enough, so I guess
You're done.
you're fine.
You're out.
They wanted you to teach the class first.
While you're looking for that, do you have photographers you like? I've tried a few, and now I'm looking for a new one.
I'm using Greg's Media Max.
Yeah,
Max
I like
Media.
Media Max. Yeah.
Media Max.
They're pretty consistent and they're reasonable and they
More
have the photos
reasonable
back.
than virtual.
Greg, check your address. CSOM.
Oh, geez, no wonder.
So, what were you saying about Media Max?
So I just switched over to Media Max, and they're more reasonable than Virtuance. I was also using a private photographer, but she got a little snarky when I asked her to switch a filter for me. So I was like, "Well, we're done."
What
But
do you consider reasonable? What's the price? I'm just curious. Like a 2,500 square foot
so
house.
I think it's about. That's weird.
They probably have a website with different
I
packages.
do. They do, and their website's really easy to navigate. I usually do
So
like
Greg, when you click
25
view all, that's when you
pictures.
stall.
I do the
When
Zillow
you
3D
select
tour.
view all, that's when the
Yeah.
And I think, and then if I do like 5 aerials or whatever, I think it came out to like
keep going.
400
Keep to the
bucks.
bottom.
Okay,
Go all the way to the
that's
bottom.
which
Tattoos.
honestly is not
Can you
bad.
pick your photographer, or they just
Yeah,
send
They,
whoever?
at the end, when you go to schedule, they'll tell you who's available and if there's one that you like more than the other. All of them I've used have been great.
They have.
Yeah. And the one that Janet and I just did together, we had Virtuance
So I always
pictures
scroll
at
straight
first,
to the
and then
bottom
we
from
had
there?
Media
Yeah,
Max,
it's
and
just-
they
it
came
doesn't
out
let you
better.
do it?
They did better
No,
angles, like,
Yeah, it looks
Media
so
Max
much better.
are really
Media
interesting.
yeah,
I never used them.
But-
Interesting.
yeah.
And their tours are good.
Yeah, it's like the one that pops up on Zillow, so
Okay,
Zillow can
Zillow,
grab it,
yeah.
And they do the house plans.
Cause
and they do the floor plans with
Oh, they
that
do?
too.
Okay.
hmm
Because
Yeah,
I guess one of the few who doesn't like those walkthrough tours.
yeah.
I don't like them either.
I don't
like walking
That
tours.
makes me
I'm like,
feel better.
where am I? I'm in the wall.
I never
Yeah.
use them, but I always order.
The walkthrough tours.
Yeah, I order them just because.
They're cheaper. It seems
yeah,
like.
yeah.
But if you're trying to follow one, if you're trying to see what the house looks like with one of those tours, it's like, I think it's Yeah, that's what I don't like.
So under how to's and Elevate, I've got this on a PDF also, so I just went to the PDF. But what you'll find is there's a whole series of email templates, things like that you can start. You want to customize it to your own wording, but there's some really good email templates to work with in communicating with your seller. There's a market evaluation email, follow up, timeline, listing agreement explained, disclosure documents, and they're all in here. So you can copy and paste them and then make them your own. I'd probably even throw them into ChatGPT and, it can make it even better for you, right? So, but those are all in there in the how-to section under seller dialogues. So, but really, really helpful stuff. I'm not sure why that connection wasn't working at the moment. I haven't had any issues with the site, so could be just because I've got so many things open here. Maybe it thinks I'm probably you're already in here. You're in here like 5 times. You must be a problem.
Right.
We're limiting you.
Right. Let's see. There's that. There we go. All right. And of course, for helping. Let's see. We were. Okay. We kind of were backwards. The slide got out of place, didn't it? Well, that's all right. Okay. No, we're in the right place. Okay. So helping the seller prepare. Some things also you can do, and part of your listing presentation, I'm sure, is to give them a home enhancement checklist. And this is one that I've used for a number of years from.
They're having really good luck right now.
Right. So basically, it just gives a checklist for the seller on the exterior, things that you should do to give the best curb appeal, all the kitchen, the bathrooms, all that stuff. The MediaMax, when you schedule their photography, they send you a checklist of the photo shoot that you can send to your seller as well. So that's real handy.
Is that in Elevate?
I think it is. If it's not, we can include it with the slides. I thought it was in Elevate, but it's part of the Buffini material, so it's.
I think it is working with. I think it's in
I
there.
think
It's
it's
in
in
like
working
working
with
with sellers.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in there. Yeah. So but yeah, just basically bedrooms, living areas, basement, garage, all those things they should do to get their house ready for sale.
The hard part is having them try to keep it that way. That's our bad. So I always remind my people that we sell a house differently than we live in a house.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly.
It's a good way to say it.
It is. It's just kind of, yep, this is a pain taking all this down, but, this is what
Half
we
of
do.
it's packed that way.
Yeah, that's part of it.
But how are you packed?
Also in
Yeah, there you
Elevate, there's a complete vendor resource list that agents around the company have recommended. And so it's a really good resource for all types of different things. This used to be just in the Facebook group, but now it's on Elevate as well.
It's really, it's really out of date.
This is a new one. This one,
Oh, it
Elevate
is.
is current. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
But if you notice,
you notice something out of date,
that something's out of date,
please let us know.
I
contact
mean,
Allie.
the last few times I've looked at it, there were some companies recommended on there who've been out of business for like 10 years. And I'm
Oh,
like, I can't use this list.
Yeah, we're trying to update everything on Elevate, like all the how-tos. Those are all getting a refresh from us in these last
there a-
couple months.
Is there a blank one of those? Because I got a lot of people that I like to use.
You could probably just, it's on a Google spreadsheet, so you can probably just
You can add to it.
download it, make a copy of it, and then change.
The other thing is our Facebook page. Like that's where I utilize most is just putting out a post, or you can search in our page and see if anybody's asked about a roofer or whatever. But getting the most up to date, like who somebody worked with, a month ago, rather. So that's super helpful too. Creating your own list as well.
Yeah.
Meeting with your plumbers, electricians, all those people, being like, how do you work? Have them out to your house. See, can you clean my furnace for me? See, like those. So start compiling your people too.
I think something that's important with the marketing preparation is as a professional is to really provide the best photography that you can for the seller, depending on the property. If it's a fixer upper property that you may not go to as elaborate expense as a more normal property, right? But doing aerial photography when it makes sense, right? And having the drone photography. If it makes sense to do twilight photos, do those. Doing the walkthrough video, all those things that can help the property stand out more online. You'll get more activity, more showings when you have better photography. We've probably all seen photography where there's
Cell phone.
A dog.
A dog in the picture.
The toilet is open.
Somebody
The toilet's open.
Somebody to use their cell phone with its photos.
The lighting's terrible. It's like So definitely, it makes a big difference. I'm just amazed. And I've seen $1 million houses that have really crappy photographs. It's like,
Yeah, why did they do that? But I have found that some of my buyers, when we go see a house, that the pictures are horrible, that it's really nice, and I'm like, I won't tell them. So there's
right, exactly. Yeah.
nobody's
Right,
coming to
right.
see it because so the pictures are so bad.
I'm sure you probably do floor plans on every property, right?
I
Yeah.
do floor plans.
Yeah.
I've used the Cuba Casa thing. It's really slick.
Mhm.
But that Media Max, they do the floor plan.
Mhm.
What I tell, like in my listing presentation, my gist on marketing is 99% of people find their homes on the internet. 1% find it from the real estate agent that sent it to them. So our first showing, how everybody's going to see this house is like the pictures. So the prep, the picture quality, all those things that are online are my biggest marketing tools. I don't market really any other way because that's what stats show.
The
People are
photos
finding it.
really the first showing.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
Yep.
like that one. That's
Yeah. Absolutely.
Do you find the colored floor plans are important? I see some of the photographers do colored floor plans.
I don't know that that's that important. They're kind of nice, but I don't know that it's that important. I think having some type of floor plan.
I
The Media
just
Max-
have the floor plan.
Yeah, the Media Max had measurements too, which actually came in handy for the garage. Somebody was like, "Will my truck fit?" I don't know, but they actually had the measurements, so that was nice for that too. But no, color wise,
No, some of them advertise. Because I've been looking at photographers, and some of them advertise color floor plans, and I'm like, I don't know if that matters.
Yeah, and I like to have in the house with the brochure. I like to have the floor plans printed out. Sometimes, depending on the house, if it's if you can do a one-page floor plan, do it on the back side of a brochure. If it's a single-page brochure, it's a multi-page brochure. I'll usually print the brochure or the floor plan separately and have
Are you
those out.
doing brochures on all your listings?
You print them out yourself, or do you?
I go to Office Max or
Yeah.
Office Depot. They're just really reasonable and do a nice job.
Yeah, they're quick.
We do have availability through Troy, who's been doing a lot of work, and there is a option available for some really high-end stuff if you want to do some high-end brochures for a luxury listing, or just have them do it for you. You can send it to them and they'll print it as well. Their link is available on the Elevate site as well. So that's Color Productive is that company. I don't know if you've ever used them before, but if you want to do they can do whatever high-end brochure you want to do. And even I've done the 11 by 17 fold-over brochures through Office Depot, and they're great.
Are they better than FedEx? Because I've been going to FedEx.
I don't know if they're better, but I just have they give a discount for realtors.
They do?
Yeah.
I'm sure I don't know
I go to the one typically in Highlands Ranch, but also the one in Castle Rock. Just asking for your realtor discount, and the National Association of Realtors has a program with them.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
With Office Depot?
Yeah. Or Office Max. They're merged, so I don't know. I think
Yeah,
they're
yeah,
Office
I
Depot.
don't know.
They're the same thing.
Yeah.
You get
Yeah.
realtor discounts actually at a lot of places. You
Yeah.
know, like I went to go replace a cabinet in my kitchen, and I got a realtor's discount at the wholesale.
Really?
Yeah,
If you go on like NAR or Smedra or whoever, they'll list out where you get discounts.
Well, they did. They
I've
wouldn't have
never
listed
used
that, but that one.
Well, this is good information.
Yeah.
I understand. I'm a real. I'm a
Worth the
realtor.
time.
I know. It was worth the 2 hours.
There you go.
That's
That was
great.
worth my
Maybe
drive.
we're not fired.
I mean, that way, if there's
Oh, that's funny.
maybe I don't know.
Yeah. If the depending which one you go to, but at the Highlands Ranch is over in by Town Center in Highlands Ranch. They're really fast, really good. The one in Castle Rock, I also use them. They're not.
Okay, when you say fast, like
Yeah.
how fast? Next day, same day?
Well, in emergency,
Same day,
they've got it
sometimes.
within a couple hours.
Really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where's
Carla
that?
is the kind of the manager there in Highlands Ranch.
So we asked for Carl.
Carla, yeah, but the other people
Over
there do a
by
great
Town
job too.
Center, like where,
I use
over
one of
by where the
those.
Target is.
They're
Yeah,
good.
they're good too. Yeah.
Parker, have you ever?
Yeah.
used
Yeah.
Parker?
Parker, yeah, that works.
I'll just start.
They're all over the place. So I use Showing Time exclusively myself. Some people use Broker Babe. Showing Time, I find they have nicer reports, and there's more agents using it. So when buyers are setting up showings or agents are setting showings for their buyers, I just find it a little bit easier to use Showing Time. I just pay the $10 a month.
Well, that's for your specialized reporting.
Right, which I'll show you in a moment.
Yeah,
The reporting.
both are free
Yeah.
if you don't want that specialized reporting.
Right.
But the
Sure.
reports are nice.
Showing time's not free. It's like $35 or $50 a listing if you don't pay the monthly.
Yeah, if you don't pay the
Yeah.
monthly,
There's
they
a charge
for
for
it.
showing time.
They didn't charge me for my
Maybe
listing.
they changed it recently and we didn't know
They
about
didn't?
it.
No, I just
No?
put one on there and I was doing Broker Bay and I'm tired.
Oh,
Broker
I
Bay
don't.
is
I don't
difficult.
like Broker Bay at all.
I don't either. So,
Well,
but I went
it's-
to Showing Time
Yeah,
and
So
they didn't
it's-
charge me.
The reports,
So they have
'cause I've
changed
never
that,
been
too.
charged either.
yeah.
But
So they have
did-
changed that
I've
now.
never
Did-
been charged.
You might get a charge at the end. I mean, I don't. I've never used Showing Time and not gotten charged.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never been
Well,
charged.
Change your credit card so they don't do that.
Yeah.
Sounds like they got your card and they're charging you.
I like how
Signed
you
up
call
for
and
the
they say,
reports.
"Hi, Suzanne."
Yeah.
I mean, that's just you just don't get that these days. And somebody answers and says, "Those are who." I mean, that's nice.
Right.
Showing
Customer
Time
service
is
is
so much
exceptional.
better than
You
Broker
must have
Bay.
signed up for the reports without knowing it was Showing Time.
No,
Yeah.
I thought the
Yeah.
reports were
I
like
didn't
$10
want
a
any-
month.
Yeah, I just pay
That's
$10
what
a
she
month. And
I didn't want it. I didn't.
That's
No, this was just to list the use
Let's-
Showing Time.
yeah, let's
that
check
said
into that
showing.
because
Yeah.
I for a while now I've only paid $10 a month for the reports.
And I
And I paid $0.
Wow.
Oh,
Why am I getting ripped off?
I don't know.
That's kind of like I'm wondering why I'm getting charged $24.99 for Netflix and everybody else is getting charged less. So
Right. Right.
I'm like,
Oh.
what do I?
Those
what do I
recurring
order?
charges can drive you nuts and drive you know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're
Netflix
digressing a
knows
little bit there.
Has
Sorry.
anyone else gotten
Netflix
charged
knows
for
when you're
Showing
sharing.
Time?
So we've already
I
gone
don't
in and
pay
shown
higher
the marketing
because
center
my kids are
options.
sharing it with
So
me and they're in another.
there's a lot of great options there
And
for
they
you.
figured that out.
Oh,
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Netflix, they
Netflix,
figured out
they figured
if
out,
you're
good.
sharing it with like a family member. who's
Right.
not
I'm not
in the
sharing
house.
I
it.
know.
I'm not sharing
So
it with
suddenly
anybody. So
they bumped me up to the family membership.
Yeah. They catch you now.
So in the marketing center, all the things you want to do, if you want to do social media posts, you want to do a brochure, you want to do a postcard, all that's available there. If you want to do just listed postcard, just solds, all those things are available to you. Even newsletters, everything is right there on the marketing center.
Remember the 866 number for equity that's tied to your pro agent website? That directly ties to our MLS. So if you put that 866 number on your signs, they call it, they enter the house number, they get that electronic brochure of this house is worth $550. Da da da. But it's nice. And then you get a text or an email stating that somebody's called that number. You get their phone number, and you can call them back and say, hey,
I have a
what else do you need?
Is there still a limit on the house price as to whether you can use the sign with the yard arm? There used to be a price limit. The equity signs, there isn't, because it used to be you could only use the yard arm signs for high-end properties.
I've never remembered that from equity, but I've always used the yard arm signs for whether it's when I can, depends on the property, of course. A condo, you can't do that, but if it's a $400,000 house or what's there's not
Okay.
or a
No, I had to
$1 million
get
house.
special permission one time to
What?
use the yard arm for a $500,000.
Katie, I think you have special rules.
I know. Something's going on.
We need to break you free. For whatever's going
Like
on
at
there.
this meeting, I mean,
is it sometimes there's HOA regulations on signs. that
no,
you
it
can
wasn't
use.
that. It was an equity rule.
Like in my neighborhood, I can use a sign like this big.
Oh, that's all.
Wow.
Yeah.
With all that
Although there's-
space out there.
Right, with all that space, they want signs that are like this big. Yeah, they don't want, but a lot of agents don't follow the rules out there. So,
It's real estate agents for you.
yeah, so so listing checklists, all that are in CTM. So all of our listing checklists, everything there. Of course, when you're launching a listing, the social media posting. There's and we have some tools for that in Elevate that I mentioned. With the marketing center. There's also, if you use one of the websites from Voltrail, they can do some automated stuff for as far as posting your listings online and can do paid advertising as well. So those things are options for you. And then of course, emailing to your Sphere agent network. I like to do an email blast to agents as well. And the only reason is reporting that it gives to a seller, really. And I do find I get a little bit more activity. It's an email blast that goes out, eFlyer. There's several different companies out there, but they give you a nice report of how many agents opened the email. Now, I'm not sure if they just saw it on their phone or if they really opened it, but it gives a nice reporting to the agent that goes out, and you can separate it by area of city. So you can do all the metro area, you can do just Jefferson County, Arapahoe County, Douglas County, wherever you want it to go. But it's a nice email blast for open houses, broker open houses, or
Which blast
new
do you
listings.
run?
I use the eFlyer, but there's other companies out there that I've heard that are a little bit less than eFlyer. It usually costs about $100 to send a blast out to about 8,000 agents.
Is that
How's it going with your flyer?
I do
Yeah, and then they give you
reverse
credits for-
prospecting through
They'll give you
MLS.
credit for doing multiple orders.
Yeah.
So eventually you'll get credit, and one will be $20 because you got an $80 credit.
There's Zip Your Flyer too.
Zip Your Flyer, yeah, that's the other one that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can set it up
Yeah.
if you wanted to do a second email and it'll give you a discount if you wanted to
Right.
go out and
What's
another
more
email in
reasonable?
2 weeks or something.
Yeah.
I just do reverse prospecting through MLS on old school, I guess. But what I found, because I hated doing it because you have to go in separately to each one and send your email, is if you do your reverse prospect list and you copy that whole thing, just highlight the whole thing and put it in Chat GPT and say, please pull out all these emails and list them in a, by comma or whatever. It'll do it for you. And then you just copy them all into a BCC, send out one email, there's your blast.
In reverse prospecting.
So you
That's a
select
good idea.
them all
That's a real good idea.
and then
So you select them all, and then you just copy it, paste it into chat,
okay.
and you have the name and the phone number and all the stuff you don't need. And I just say pull the email addresses for me, and it lists them, and then I copy it into my email address into the BCC section,
Okay,
so
yeah.
not all that
Right.
they're seeing all of them. And then I just create one email and I send them all out, and that's my blast.
And she's kind of a good tech guru, by the way.
Yeah, that's
Well, that's all
That's-
chat.
That's a
I was
great idea because
okay.
it was, it's kind of cumbersome and just one at a time.
Oh, I hated it. I was
Yeah.
like, how can we
Tedious.
not
Right.
do this more efficiently? And
Yeah,
So I tried it in chat and it worked.
Save you some time. That's great. Great idea.
So, if we have an appointment with you and we come in and say you can help us figure that out.
yeah, or we can do a Zoom, share your screen. Yeah,
Cool,
for sure.
cool. That's amazing.
Or she's going to have Chad explain it.
Yeah.
She'll send me a link.
Is that like the chat?
You can send over to Chad. So.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing what you can do with those things. And Equity on the Elevate side also has an AI tool for doing your listing descriptions. You can upload photographs. You can enter the basic information on the house. and they can help you come up with a description, and also social media marketing, all those things. I caution you to not just go with the standard description, because it'll sound like everybody else's description out there. What's the common line? It's like perfect combination of comfort and convenience. I think every listing has that now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
and things like that you'll see a common thread. Oh, they just did the AI listing. So take it and then refine it. Even put it into a couple of AI. Claude is a real good one for AI for listing tools. Just to make it your own. Don't just go with the standard, because it could be wrong. It may be something that it has too much fluff, or
Make sure you also make sure it's fair housing compliant, and you can put that in chat too. Like, is this fair housing compliant? And it will revise it.
Those that are using showing time for their listings, that sounds like most all of you, are you using the automatic email feed for feedback on your listings?
Oh, I customize.
You
mine.
customize. Okay, that's fine too. So, but it automatically goes out after each showing, and you can send more as well. Okay. It seems like some listings you get agents will respond. Other listings that no one responds, right? So a phone call to find out, get their feedback is also important, and then you can enter in that information in there as well.
I don't have good luck with the phone. I always call if I don't
Mhm.
get the written feedback, and most people don't call me back.
Text? Do you try texting?
Yeah, I
Well,
text.
Yeah.
text.
It's frustrating when they don't give you feedback.
I
It
always
really
get
is, yeah.
feedback.
Yeah.
The other thing that turns me off, just for general feedback, is when I see the remarks in the listing that are not grammatically correct. And I guess chat may be good for that too. I'm just a grammar person, and my nephew has listed his house in Florida for $5.5 million, and the write-up is horrible. And I'm like, whose toes am I going to be stepping on if I give them that feedback? So I'm just saying, even if it's a $500,000 house or whatever, make sure that, I don't know, I just find that to be a turnoff if people
Absolutely.
can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I run it through Chat GPT now.
Yeah.
So it's right.
I have an interesting comment on the
Yeah.
showing time about the agents who don't respond.
Yeah.
And I always respond.
Uh-huh.
And I actually got a phone call from a seller
Uh-huh.
asking me to come for an appointment because they were
Wow.
tired of having a house listed with agent so-and-so, and that I was one of the only agents who responded within 1 hour of what the showing was like.
Wow.
Wow.
And then she's like, if you're an agent, if that's how you'd work for me, I'd really like
That's
that.
awesome.
Wow.
That's great.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
so I've just always been out of respect for the list agent.
Right.
Yeah.
Let the poor list agent know, so the list agent, whether or not
Right.
it's automatic fed
That's
back,
great.
or if the list agent picks up the seller and
Sure.
says,
Mhm.
yes, this is what
Yeah.
the showing was like.
Yeah.
But
That's
it came
awesome.
back to me.
That's
I was
awesome.
like,
That's
"That is
great.
kind of
So it's a common courtesy, and those
Yeah.
professional
I always
courtesies
do
are
that.
important, right?
The one question I always have problems with or concerned with, because I've heard horror stories, and I don't know if they're true or not, when you go to give feedback and they ask about the price. Too high, just right, too low. And I've hesitated to ever answer that question.
I never
What-
answered that question.
Okay, what was the advice here?
If it's blatantly too high, I'll put too high. But if it's,
Okay.
I never put too low.
Okay. But you can answer all of them, just leave that question alone. Is
Yeah,
that-
sure,
Yeah.
sure.
I just
think that.
skipped down. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I just skipped down to the feedback where I can write notes about what my
Perfect,
buyer
okay.
liked and what they didn't, and
Yeah. That's
that's
I
yeah.
like
That's
that
the most
too.
important.
All those other
I
things,
don't do
those
column
grading
size.
is ridiculous.
that's the most important thing.
Is it number 1, 2,
'cause
3,
it's-
4, or 5 on your
Oh yeah, that's weird. That's a weird
I'm like,
question.
right?
I just had a
27.
question.
Yeah.
Any advice? I have a listing in Heather Gardens, and of course the price point is only $210.
Yeah.
But you can do absolutely nothing there. You can't even put a sign in the window. You can't put a
Right.
sign in the hallway. They told me, well, you could put a note card on the bulletin board.
Right.
And
Nice.
there is a magazine I found out where I can do a print ad.
Mhm.
And then I think there's something going on community-wise that I could put on there. Any other advice? The
Did you-
e-blast thing I've not done with that, and that might be my thing. But
Yeah, have you done blast to agents like that? I think, and then what Sarah brought up about the reverse prospecting.
yeah,
I think that's a really good idea. And then, have you done it just listed to the area?
to the building, no,
Building?
we did not.
I've done that with. I had a condo listing down by Botanic Gardens, and smaller building, much smaller than Heaven Gardens, but I did a just listed postcard, and we got it staged it, got it under contract very quickly, and
Really?
nothing had been selling there in that building for a while. So I got 2 leads from it.
In the build, so you did it in that, okay.
That building and surrounding buildings as well.
Might do it.
I think I did 100 in that particular case, 100 just listed, and
Okay,
it worked pretty well. So
thank you.
I think the only
Send
thing
me
to
that
point out
information on that.
is make sure you check in with your seller
I
weekly.
might have somebody.
Even if there's nothing to tell them about, like even if nothing's happened and they know that, just shoot, like call, text, and just say, hey, this is our weekly check-in. This is what's going on. If there's something new that came out. But we push Buffini, we push referral, like building our business through that. That's a great way. Don't just list a property and then the seller never hears from you for weeks at a time.
I think when you first go on the market, like every few days, you're always in contact because you're updating them with, okay, here's what the information is on Zillow with your house. And Zillow will show you how many people have viewed it and how many people have saved it, right? So you can see that information and share that with them. If it's getting a lot of activity and a lot of saves, that's a good thing. You can also show them what the property looks like on Realtor.com, Homes.com. Send them those links so they can see the marketing that you're doing. The other thing that I do is I use some of the tools in Showing Time, and this is where that $10 a month comes in. There's a pricing benchmark report that I use that basically will show you for the property type and the square footage range. You can actually enter a price range, you can enter a square footage range, you can really customize this to what makes sense for the property. It'll show you how many showings you're getting compared to the competition and what the competition has been doing, price reduction and so forth. So, for instance, with this listing, in the first we had 7 showings, 13 total in 21 days. And this shows you as of the first week, we had 10 active listings, 1.6 was the average. So we're definitely well above average. The pending listings in their first week, what they had. Now, keep in mind, this looks at historical data. We're into the spring market where there's more activity as opposed to back in the winter months, right? So you got to take that with a grain of salt, but still, it gives you an idea of what the competition, what things you're looking at in your competition. So it's a report you can give your seller. Now, if you're way below average, okay, you can say, well, we're not hitting it. We're not hitting the mark here. So
you still send them this and then just do a disclaimer?
Yeah, and it takes some explanation. So I do an email explanation when I send it to them as far as what the data is. But it gives us some hard data about what's happening in the market, right? And this is just Showing Time listing. So if it's a broker bay listing, it's not going to show up in this report. So, but most listings are Showing Time. So,
We
So you pay $10 more extra a month for this.
mhm, yeah.
Well, that's kind of good if you got a lot of listings, huh?
Yeah, it shows you your pricing comparison. It shows you where you're at, what the median price is, where we're at, where the recent sales, where the active listings are at, and just gives you and the 10 active listings, the median price of those are a little bit lower than ours, as we see, the recent sales. Now, this goes back 6 months on sales, so it's going back quite a ways on the sales data. And then the pending listings, what the median is there, and it also shows you listings with price reductions, size of the price reductions. It also gives you an absorption supply and demand chart, which shows you how many homes in their price range are on the market and how many homes there's 11 homes active, they should sell in 4.6 months in this case, right? So it gives you something to talk about with your seller, even when not as much is going on as you would like, right? So the other, I won't get too far into these, but the other reports that sorry, I'm on the wrong page here. There we go. There's a couple other listing activity report that's available to you with whether you have the extra $10 a month program. And then you can just put in all the activity, the showings, the feedback, provide that to your seller on a regular basis, on a weekly basis. You can put open house activity. You can also, I don't do it, but you can list all the marketing you've done in there and provide that to them. If you've done a just listed postcard, you've done a social media post, you can document everything you've done along the way. And so it's a nice tool to show them that, because I think that's the biggest complaint when homes have been on the market a while. Sellers like, well, what the heck is my agent doing, right? And they don't know all that you're doing if you don't share it with
You don't tell them.
right?
By the way, I'll do an open house at that one again.
Okay, all right.
All right, so we're about 30 minutes out from our stop time,
Yes.
and we told Paul we could get this done.
Right.
So we're going to breeze through
All right,
that.
I'm going to briefly show target market analysis. You can take from showing time as well. And it just allows you to put in a zip code parameter, price range in certain increments, and it'll show you how many showings occurred during that time frame for each of those properties. This is really helpful.
Wait, what? It shows you what?
It's a target market analysis report. So
Okay.
basically, you can enter a price range, and it will show you an incremental an increment that it will show you different categories of price ranges.
Oh, okay.
It'll show you what the market activity has been at certain price points. So here, for instance, and this helped with getting a price reduction on a listing because you can see, well, the market's at $999, we're at $1,049,000. We're not getting the activity. The market, we need to be where the market's at, right? And so it gives you a tool to show the seller what's happening in the market, right? And it boils it down to the different price ranges, total showings in that time period, and then what the monthly average, weekly average would be, and so forth. So you can get a good feel. Again, a really good tool when homes are staying on the market long. Sellers need to know, why is my home not selling? What's my agent doing? So these are things you can provide to them. All right, so we need to get back on track here, don't we?
Are you finding open houses helpful?
Yeah. I think they're always. Well, I shouldn't say always, but they're certainly always effective in either getting leads. They're effective getting buyers into the right houses, or effective in. I've had a lot of houses sell when buyers have come in on the weekend when their agent's out of town, and the agent then writes an offer on Monday when they're back in town, and they sent their buyer in over the weekend, which is fine. That's we have that opportunity, right? So anything you can do to help get more exposure for your listing can help.
So you are selling, I mean, I know they're good for lead purposes, but you are actually finding buyers at your open houses.
Oh yeah. People are definitely. There's buyers come in, and buyers typically they're going to start looking at open houses well before they're ready to buy. But there are some buyers that are, ready to go, and they're out looking too. So yeah.
That's mostly been the case. I've been doing tons of open houses, and it's mostly all represented.
Mhm.
They're all ready to go.
Really? Yeah.
Okay, we got an offer. We're under contract.
Woohoo!
So basically the under contract process, this just goes through what you start with. Obviously changing to pending in 3 days, that's an MLS rule. A lot of people forget about that, so make sure that happens. Making sure title has your contract and counter, make sure they open all of their stuff up, make sure they have your seller's contact information, social media posts, title, earnest money. We're monitoring all of our dates and deadlines, obviously, waiting for the inspection to come through. We have a document on how to survive your home inspection for your sellers. It just gives them a little bit of prep, and then appraisal, and that's that.
Yeah, and there's in those email communication templates that we showed earlier. There's all those things you can communicate with your seller about these different deadlines, the title deadline, the appraisal deadline, all those things, and the communication. It's really a nice tool. And also, if you haven't linked, if you use CTM, you can link the calendar right to your phone, and so you can have all your dates and deadlines right on your phone. So that's, I don't know if do you do that?
No.
It makes it a lot easier to have all your
How do you
answers
do
there.
that?
Through
There's-
CTM, you can just tie it in through
There's
CTM.
a video like on their how-tos.
Yeah.
It's helpful.
Let me get under that one MLS changing the status to pending.
Mhm.
I keep coming across statuses that aren't changed, and they won't change it through CTME. They're saying contact the selling broker. And some
So
of this
CTM can't
historic,
change it, yeah.
and some of it's historical. The realtors don't exist anymore. So it's like, okay, what do we do now?
Why you
Okay, I'll give you a great example. At the house that I live in,
Uh-huh.
the person that sold it the second time it was sold, about 10 years ago, has left it or active
in the-
Oh, in CTM?
in CTM.
yeah, so CTM, that's,
So
the
CTM
public generally isn't going to get that, so that does have to go back to that agent, or that company has to change that, because
so the agent doesn't exist, so it's the company that's responsible?
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's, again,
That's
you
great.
would only search that if you're searching for that property in CTM, but
Mm-hmm.
no, and no one's really going to do that unless the property is active.
So it's
and
not
available
that
for
big
sale.
of a deal?
So it's a moot point.
Okay.
All right, so we've got through everything. This is nice to do. Basically having your seller fill out like all the info about the property, like who the providers are, who they've used for trash, internet, where the mailbox is, because there's those cluster boxes and nobody knows where they are. So if you have a checklist, or we have one on here to help with the new buyer to have all that information, it's nice to have your seller fill that out.
This is Tiffany Tynes, my transaction coordinator. She did this form in a Google form, and it's really helpful because we can send it to the seller, and then they can fill it out and provide, does the mailbox require a key, and where's the mailbox, all the things, where's the sprinkler system control, is the sprinkler winterized, where's the sewer clean out, how many keys do you have, where we leave the keys in the opener, all that communication that needs to happen between the seller and the buyer for closing. And the alarm code, we don't give them that, or the garage code, we won't give them that until it's closed. so we redact that, but and then if there's HOA for amenities for the pool or that type of thing, if there's keys for that, and then any other information, like he has a backyard pond, so the seller gave him more information on that, on how to turn that on and so forth. So it's kind of a helpful tool to have it in a form that you don't have to try to recreate the wheel every time.
And where's that at?
This is mine that I use,
that's
that
yours.
Tiffany Tynes use. It'll be in the packet, so you could certainly copy it and make a Google form yourself. But I can ask her if she can share it, but in a Google form, you're just going to have to create that and then, make it your own with your own customizations.
That'd be good to put an elevate
Yeah,
form.
yeah, that would be,
forms.
yeah, it's a good idea. I'll work on that.
When you say it'll be in the packet, you mean that
This example will be in the packet. Yeah.
in the email we're getting on the slides
We'll
and
email you the slides and all the docs and everything. So basically, everything else you guys can kind of read through. We're just preparing for closing. So
Yeah, and I
that
think
means-
it's important just to make sure you do everything for your seller. That try to make it as easy as possible for them. It's a stressful time; they're trying to move. Most of the time, if the house hasn't been cleaned already, professionally cleaned, if it's occupied, I'll have it cleaned for them when they move out, just as a thank you. And they really appreciate that because they don't have to worry about it doing a move out cleaning when they're trying to get everything moved. So.
yeah, we can definitely do a closing gift. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, just making sure that whether you create checklists yourself to remember all these steps or you're using this or however, but there are a lot of steps to remember. Picking up a sign, a lockbox, like even if you're busy, those things can get missed. So
And I use a sign company for most of my signs. There's a couple that are available. RMD Signs is one that a lot of people use. I use Listing Pro by Axiom, and they'll install the yard arm, and I've got my sign stored there so they can deliver the sign and then pick it up. So
I get another thing as well from the buyer's side of it when they occupy their new home.
Mhm.
The forwarding of mailing doesn't seem to happen very well, and the new occupants are getting stacks of mail.
Mhm.
What should we do?
contact the listing broker and ask if they can. And on the form, you can ask, do they have permission to forward their mail, and to get their forwarding address on the closing form, and that way they can just forward it. As a listing broker, I've had times where the seller put in their change of address, or they've ordered an Amazon package and they sent it to the wrong address, so I picked it up for them and shipped it to them if they're out of state, or went and picked it up for them. So
I always suggest to my buyers also to have all the locks rekeyed.
Yeah.
Change the garage code
Right.
and have all the locks rekeyed because you don't know who has keys.
Right.
It could be neighbors, could
Exactly.
be dog sitters,
Yeah.
could be babysitters. Like you have no idea who has a
Right.
key
Right.
to that house. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else can we, just making sure you've got everything you've agreed to and inspection items and your receipts, you've got that all ready for closing. It's good to just have these things, a few days before closing, so you can just have everything wrapped up, send that to the listing or the selling broker, and
Post-closing occupancy agreement, remember to have your sellers change to a renter's policy if that box is checked on the post-closing occupancy. That's one thing that by the time you get to closing, you can easily forget about. So that just means that they're changing to, hey, we're renting this house for that long, and it covers their inside of everything, their personal property, and if someone got hurt on the property. So something to remember for that.
congratulations, you're closed.
That's it. I
Wow.
thought we had a couple more, so that's why I was like, oh my gosh, we gotta go.
No, we have time for questions.
I have
Yeah,
a question.
perfect.
So this was a question that when I went on a listing presentation last week that sellers asked me. I'm kind of curious how everybody would answer this. So they asked me, we have new bills going up near us.
Right?
And so they asked about what I thought about them purchasing a new build versus an existing build.
Mhm.
And it's a pretty general question,
Mhm.
So of course, I went over the taxes, which is something that a lot of buyers won't know about. But what do you guys suggest when a seller asks you, and they're going to be moving out, they're going to sell their house, and they're going to be buying. So when a buyer says, should I buy a new build or should I buy an existing home? Which one is better?
Well, I kind of, myself personally, I just give them the pros and cons, just like you've probably done. The pros of a new home is that no one's lived in it; it's all brand new. You've got a builder warranty, everything's shiny and fresh, but you're going to have a few more expenses. You're going to have probably some landscaping expenses, window blinds, things like that. Probably customizing it a little bit more, for your liking. So you're going to have a few more of those expenses. And in most new construction areas, they're in special taxing districts, so the taxes are significantly higher, and they'll be significantly higher than what is initially disclosed.
Right. It's the second year.
Yeah, it's the second year that they'll be reassessed, and so I should go over those pros and cons with them. A resale, of course, it's already established. The house is already there. There's more established landscaping. But it may need some updating. So it really depends on what's.
Do you think there's
most
any difference
desirable.
between if one's better built than the other one?
It's really
Quality
That's
or
per-
the
per
soil
builder.
or
there
all of those fun issues.
depends on where it's at.
It's already been
There's some
settled.
older.
Most
There's
houses.
some older areas, especially where you live,
Mhm.
that have some. The foundations were done a little bit differently then, right? So there's more settling issues and that type of thing. So in the new construction, there's new requirements now for the soils testing that wasn't done in the 70s. And there's also, as far as the backfill that they use and everything, the grading, all that they do is, and engineering is a little bit more involved. So new construction might be better. Now you won't know for 10 years or so.
Right. Right.
but it should be better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a warranty at least for that period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's important to them, some peace of mind.
I think talking about it on the listing side of things, like if you're selling a house that has building around it, bringing up that conversation of how much concessions the builder is offering, that we need to price really well because we're competing with these people. So going to the builder, seeing what they're offering for that month, it changes monthly usually.
It's ridiculous.
So-
And the financing.
Yeah, so just on the listing side of things, bringing that up as well, is that you
Right.
are competing with
Right.
new builds.
And more to come.
But yeah, as far as construction and stuff, I think I just would caution to stay in our lane about what we know about, because my personal opinion is, would I rather have pure oak cabinets that were built in the 70s, 80s, maybe, or, do these ones look nicer? Yeah, but are they as big of quality? No, but I think just being careful about our opinions or what we know about building, because we're not contractors.
Right.
So staying in your lane about, I don't know, it's just really based on like the quality that you can tell and what you're looking for in a house.
Sometimes it's location too. Like if new builds are being built close to busy roads, or because they're trying to find space
Right.
versus.
Right.
I always say, do you want a larger yard? You might be getting a new house, but your house is going to be a little smaller than the old ones. And of course, the metro debt and the taxes you're going to have for a while. And you won't know the settling issues for 3 to 5 years.
Good points. Yeah. Any other questions or comments or anything like that? Any challenges you've had? So how's your showings on that one in Heather Gardens?
Nothing.
Nothing? Yeah.
Well, it's been on the market today a week.
Yeah.
So I've had nothing.
Those are kind of unique. Condos and those type of condos are pretty unique.
And its HOA isn't, by their standards, too horrible. It's 582, I think, is what it is. But the rumor is it's going to go up. But it's the urban legend rumor.
Does it include the taxes, or did it used to, the HOAs at Heather Gardens?
I don't believe it includes the taxes.
It used to include
Yeah,
taxes.
it used to, yeah.
I
don't know if it's still
I should follow up and check on that. It includes your water, your electricity, everything. It's quite turnkey, very turnkey. And actually, this particular one I did tour the group there are 7 of that exact same floor plan that are available there, and I toured 5 of them. And I was pleasantly surprised at how nicely all of them were updated. I really expected to walk into those and there'd be beep, beep, beep. And no, I mean, they were very nicely done. And so our competition is certainly there. But yeah, I was amazed that I found out I couldn't even, because I had it all figured out. I was at least going to put the for sale sign on the door, like on a wreath hanger. You can't even do anything.
Wow.
Everybody has those little tables outside. I couldn't even put an 8x10 for sale on the little table that she has. I mean, they just don't want to.
Can you hire a sign labor?
I guess all.
Well, it is. It's kind of like it's for sale, but nobody knows.
It's hard to do
Come
open
this
houses
way.
with those too.
Can't do that.
Can't even do open houses.
No,
Yeah, but
you
it's hard
can't at
anyway.
all.
With the,
You can't. I just, I was amazed when I realized the stuff I could not do.
something, since there's 7 other listings you said for sale?
Yes.
And maybe some of the other ones that are larger units or whatever.
But these are all the exact same size, everything.
Maybe to get some activity, do a broker caravan where you get the other brokers that have listings in there.
That's
And you all preview each other's listings and give feedback on pricing, condition, those type of things, so that at least you're getting some activity in there and some feedback to the seller.
My question after talking to Suzanne, we had a conversation about pricing. So I'm on the thinking of doing, like, if we're going to list at $700, I love doing $699.
Yes.
And I don't have to. It doesn't have to be 6999999. Just like 699 sounds better than 7 to me. And she brought up the fact that she heard like a long time ago that that's Walmart pricing. And so to list it
Oh, for the
700,
7?
like just
Oh.
do the even keel.
Yes.
What is everybody else? What's everyone's thought on?
It's
Like
it's
either
fascinating.
The 0,
That's
the 5, or the 9.
The
But
0,
not the
the
9,
5,
9,
or the
9.
9.
Yeah,
Okay.
either like the 0, the 5.
So like 700 or
Yes.
750.
So like a
695.
like a 640, 645, or 649.
698.
Okay.
000, not 999.
698.
I found it,
698, just to be different.
fascinating.
Just under 7 though, so that if someone is looking up to 7, they don't
Yeah.
miss it at the 700.
But recently, I had a realtor told me that they'd like to either use 3s or 7s, and I was like, that
Really?
drives
Are
me
they like
nuts.
a
Right,
craps
that drives me
player or
nuts. They're like, well, because it's different. Their reasoning was because it's
They
different,
want to stand out.
and they want to stand out. And I was like, to me, that price looks like it's already been reduced.
Yeah.
That looks like it's already at a price reduction.
I
I
think it
was like,
really
I don't like
depends-
that. That's another number.
It's
I think it really
so
depends on the
interesting.
price point of the property because if it's in a search range where, let's
same.
say it's, if it's
Like
someone
the
that's gonna
showing
search,
time graph.
if it's
Yeah.
if you're at 659,
Yeah.
you may not, people that are looking up to 650 aren't going to see the property.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it really
The showing
depends on,
time graph is really
Yeah.
big. I
Yeah.
think you can do that graph in the MLS too, or
yeah, you can.
I remember
Yeah, actually
seeing
in
you doing it
Ori,
in the
Colorado
class,
and
yes.
in the
but it was
stats.
harder to make it. Is it easier in the showing time to make that graph? Or is it look
yeah, it's
nicer
easier.
for the client?
It's easier in showing time, but
Yeah, interesting.
in Ori, Colorado, you can also go back. There's tools there where you can show number of showings per listing. It'll show you that
Yeah.
based on the price point, and you can categorize the price points. You can
It's a good
map
way
out
to
an
get a price
area.
reduction that way.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's available there too. Yeah.
You have too many houses from the 7 to 750s or,
Right.
whatever the numbers are.
Right.
So am I getting the drift that you all really are in favor of the $249.99?
Well, here's a
I don't like
comment
the
that I have.
999.
I don't disagree. It's Walmart pricing. Walmart does like $25 billion a year.
They're also the biggest
And
retailer.
with Feeney,
They're also the
I
biggest
signed up
retailer
for
in
the
country.
Feeney right training.
So,
Yeah.
It's $395. I wasn't going to pay $400, but $395. Okay. You know it's Walmart pricing, and you know it's a
I
trick.
got a good deal.
I mean, I got the MBA and
It's all psychological.
I got the MBA in marketing, and
Always wants to
you
win.
still do it because of that.
My
I don't
sister-in-law,
disagree, but
she
it's like
happens to be she has a big eBay business. My sister-in-law does and does all
And
antiques and
what's their
stuff.
pricing strategy?
She does the whole, what I call the Walmart thing. And on the phone the other day from West Virginia, she was going on and on about how it's the way to go. And I said, we are not idiots. If it says $349.99, I always look and say $350. I really do. So maybe it's just me.
but
yes.
and then you go ahead and buy it.
Well,
It
but
is
the
a-
Feeney, let's face it, the Feeney was $395, but really with taxes and everything, it came up to like $4.25. I say
Well,
$4.25,
of course it does,
but it came to $4.24.
Yeah, because they-
100%.
So I kind of
because
But you
the-
still bought it because
sellers.
you see a 3.
Remember, the buyer always wants to win. So when the seller's like, oh, I can't lower it that another 25,000 or whatever the number is. But remember, who's buying it comes with the money.
And
they're gonna
I
feel
always
like they
default to
win.
the searchable thing in real
Yeah,
estate.
me too.
So that's what I go
So
to.
do people search when they're
No,
searching
they don't
from
have
6
that.
to 700? Do they search 6 to 699?
No. Yeah,
Don't they just search 6
To
to
7.
700?
Yeah, and the other thing, if you're pricing it at a low price point, like let's say it would be in an area where someone might be searching from, $750 to $850 or whatever, right? You might want to be at that $750, right, as opposed to $749. It depends on where you're pricing on the compared to your competition.
Well, it hurt me to put the Heather Gardens thing at 210 because I really wanted 2. I wanted just 200,000 even. But which was really good, is my seller and I, when we were talking about it, I actually did a search of 1 bedroom, 1 bath condos in there, and we're right in the middle of the 1 bedroom, 1 bath price at 210. So that made me feel, and it's their decision. I always tell them it's their decision. But I just maybe need to back off. I do.
No, not at all. Because I love this
There's
discussion.
interest.
It's fascinating.
That
Because
was a
even-
banker thing.
It's fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm
And
prepping for
summer.
And
to
you
have an
probably
interesting-
find.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No.
Go ahead. Okay.
I was saying, I'm prepping to have an interesting conversation with sellers. And I'm hearing that this is, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but I'm hearing that this is starting to come up more and more. So my sellers bought 2 years ago and they paid $100,000 over the list price. And
I think we talked about this one.
Yes. And so I'm like, going through the CMA right now, going to preview homes, all of that. A couple of homes that are the same layout, same neighborhood, just sold in March, sold for $100,000 less than what the asking price was when they bought it. So now we have a $200,000 gap, right? With the listing price was in the middle, right? And so they haven't built any equity because it's only been 2 years. But from what I'm hearing from other agents is that they're starting to see this more and more too. The market's different now than it was 2 years ago.
Right.
And a lot of these sellers are actually just moving out of state. So it's not like they're buying again in the same area or same state. So this is starting to happen more and more. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but this is a difficult conversation.
And they talk about rent.
I learned
it before because they're gonna.
Oh.
Yeah.
In that case, go ahead, go 700. They need every penny.
Right. We'll take every penny, you guys.
I heard a word that I used on Saturday with a client who had before that. This was when I had talked about potentially doing both sides. That it's not going to work out now. But she had texted me and said, "I really want $725 for this house. That's what it says it's worth on Zillow." And this is in a text, right?
Yeah.
So you get the text, and then I'm set up for this meeting, and we meet. And she's telling me, "Well, what do you think about the $725 price?" I said, "We could really do that." I said, "We could, except that this is what the numbers say your house might, the kind of broad range and everything." And then I said, I'd read it somewhere and I was prepping for it, the word languish, and I said, "What could happen, Karen?" I said, "Unfortunately, your house could languish," and I drug it out, languish on the market, which sounds horribly tragic, right? Languish just planted this seed, and she even came back. She goes, "Well, I don't want it to languish on the market," and I go, "No, neither do I." And so we came back and we kind of came with the. So languish was a great word.
It's a great word.
If you have any suggestions on how to
it sounds just
have this conversation, I'm all ears.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a tough
I'm going to remember it. It worked.
Yeah, it's just an L in front of anguish.
I think the other thing in handling an objection too is that the buyer pool determines what the market price of the house is, right?
Yeah, the market tells us.
The market tells us. I think that conversation, you probably had that conversation with us,
right.
with them, but I think that's what the key on.
Are you seeing a lot of price reduction?
Oh yeah.
Well, and here I don't remember. I really like this. I don't remember where I heard it recently, but I really like this. Where a realtor was saying that when they have a listing presentation, that if sellers are having trouble with the price, then what they say is they ask the sellers. They say, "There's three things that there's three most important things in selling your house are price, location, and condition. Right. Which one of those three do you think you control?" And most sellers will answer price, but the answer is condition, and the market controls the price, right? But and so it's like it's kind of getting them to think like you're not as in control as you think you are.
Exactly. Right.
Conditions,